Well, from the very beginning, the influences that led to my work in the early stages of my life had more to do with just everyday life around me, reimaged through dreams and nightmares. So there was always a touchstone of reality in everything that I tried to create and draw or paint. But it always led to something that went underneath the surface of that reality and became more about a subconscious link. Later on, it was kind of a combination of unlearning things in the art school process, breaking down preconceptions that I had, but I always carried that early experience with me throughout. And that was a big part of what developed into what you see today, which is a stepping back. It's not completely precious, what I do, to me, but it's also some places very intimate and very personal at the same time. Well, form and content in my work really feed off of each other. For example, I'll use composition as an aesthetic tool, but also as something that frames the narrative, creates a tension psychologically in the piece that I'm trying to create. I use silhouettes not only as a way to create a graphic quality, but also in a way to do what classic horror films do, and that is to say, showing what is seen and what is not seen being as important as each other. Well, horror plays a significant role only insofar as being a vehicle for transcendence. And what I mean by that is I don't see it in purely morbid terms. To me, horror is functioning in my work in a similar vein as you'd see in religious experiences or in your historical experiences linked to getting to a higher place. It's a revelatory experience, and it's a doorway to something else, to a higher consciousness. And just to cap it very quickly, I mean, one of the things that inspired me very early on was reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead. In the Bardo, there's a lot of terrifying experiences, but they are guides. And that was something I found really profound in developing the themes I work with. There's a passage from Baudelaire that relates to my core values as an artist, and I think it has something to do with his preference for looking at theater backdrops and being more impressed and more interested in what they were showing than the naturalistic painters of his time. And I think that had something to do with the artifice, that is to say, if you leave something to the imagination, if you leave something to the criticism of the eye and associations it makes with the mind, that it leads to something that's greater on some level. That's my opinion. I don't think everyone has to work that way, but I'm not as impressed by surface details as I am by the inner spirit or the inner core of what I see and draw and paint. Right now, I'm trying to revisit in a current project a theme or a motif that hadn't worked in the past, and now it's beginning to work out, and that is the use of masks as a symbol for something that lies within. That is to say, if you see something on the surface or in front of you, there's a story behind it, but it could be hollowed out, and anything could happen behind that space. And so I'm using masks as an idea, dealing with that, this idea of there's a surface, there's an underneath the surface. I'm also using masks to show phases of the moon. And it's easier to just see the work than to actually talk about, but those are the ideas I'm coming up with. And JohnDiLorenzo.net, that's my website. So that's currently being updated. So in a few weeks, probably to this day, they'll be posted on the website. So it'll be much easier to see that.